Just to remind those of you who were not here on Tuesday, we're going to have our first midterm exam on Thursday, October 2nd. That is the last class day before the fall break. And it's going to cover chapters 3, 5, 6, and 7. I also decided that I'm going to combine the homework assignments for 5 and 6. We're going to finish 6 today. I just didn't want to give you too much work before the exam. I mean, it'll still be some work, but not two separate homework assignments. And I'm going to post that sometime tomorrow afternoon. And you guys will have till Friday after that. All right. On Tuesday, you were Cassidy, right? On Tuesday, we talked about basically the principles governing figuring out what sort of cash flows are relevant. And we defined the concept of the cash flow from assets, operating cash flow. Now we're going to do a kind of a rather involved project as an example that has all sorts of bells and whistles so that we can address different issues. Given these parameters, we're going to calculate what we call pro forma income statements, which means, what would be the income statements for the firm, given these parameters and the relevant cash flows. And we'll calculate cash flow from assets. Once we have all of those, we will go ahead and make a decision about the project. Now, let's briefly talk about the project. You are considering a new product, and life of the project is 8 years, and you expect that you can sell $105 million annually for the first year with the new product, but you also expect these sales to grow 5% a year. Discount rate is 12% and your tax rate is 25%. But even though you have a new product, you do expect that sales of your existing products will be affected. Currently, with your existing products, you're selling about $90 million annually. And you expect that in the first year, these sales are going to go down 40% since you're introducing a new product. A lot of your customers will switch to the new product. But that reduction will not even stop there. Every year, you're going to go down another 15%. So the first year, your existing product sales is going to go down by 36, which will leave you by 54. Then you're going to lose 15 from that 54, so on and so forth. You typically have to carry 15% of your sales as net working capital. And your new product has a gross margin of 65%, which means for every $100 of sales, 35 goes to variable cost, and 65 is your gross profit. But your existing products are lower margin. That's one of the reasons you want a new product. For every $100 of sales, you get to keep 45, but it costs you 55 to produce those sales. And because of the new product, you also expect to incur fixed costs. These are costs that you would incur even if you didn't sell anything. $12 million annually. Now, to put the project in place, you need a plot of land to build your factory. You're lucky your firm already owns such a plot. They bought it 3 years ago for $8 million. And today, if they decided to sell it, they could sell it for 10 million. If you get to keep this piece of land 8 years from today, you think you could sell it for 15. To build the factory, and we're going to depreciate the factory using the 15 years maker's schedule. That's what IRS told me. I don't know if that's the correct one or not, but who cares? It's our example. We can make up our own numbers. And this factory is going to cost us $60 million to put in place. But it's not enough to do just the building. We have to also put machinery and equipment, and that's going to cost us another 50 million. Machinery equipment depreciate a little bit faster, so we're going to use 10-year makers. When I'm done with the project after 8 years, factory is not going to be worthless. If nothing, you could pretty much sell it for scraps. And we expect that we could get $15 million. And for the machinery equipment, we think we can get 20. All right. Now let's go ahead and start building a spreadsheet that's going to allow us to make cash flow calculations. Just to remind ourselves, cash flow from assets is operating cash flow minus net capital spending minus change in net working capital. All right. Let's start with the simple stuff. Net capital spending. This is spending you would make on long-term assets, things like factory, land, equipment. In this example, we already know that from years 1 through 7, there is no capital spending. I mean, we could have had, but I simply don't have anything. Normally, you spend money on maintenance and stuff, but or replacing parts. Maybe in your homework assignment, I'll have something like that. And but so we're gonna have year 0 capital spending, and we also need to calculate year 8 capital spending. Why, at the end of 8 years, if nothing, you're gonna have some salvage value, right? Of course, that's gonna be negative capital spending, which is this. Remember, negative spending is cash inflow, right? So let's start with year 0. Let's first get, I'm going to open our template we already had. And let me start a sheet. This is where we're going to do our cash flow from assets. I'll have some parameters or inputs. Let's start with year 0, 1 through 8. Okay. Okay. Cost of factory, cost of machine equipment. Work with me. Come on. Oh, cost of land at purchase, value of land now, value of land at project end. These are all my little inputs. And, all right. Factory is gonna cost me, just to remind myself, even though I have freakish good memory, should be 60 million. I mean, I got rid of the cents since numbers are so big, who cares? Machinery equipment, we assume that's gonna cost us 50. We purchased the lands at 8 million. It's gonna be worth 10 now. And we assumed it's gonna be worth 15. Let's just check.